All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're playing some more EU4 here, playing as Muscovy, trying to form the Russian Empire. The intent is to go the third Rome route and eventually kind of take over all of Europe. That's my goal is to spread from the Urals to the Atlantic and take all of the Mediterranean with me. So we'll get started here. I apologize. I know it's been a while since my last upload. This week has just been one of those weeks where it feels like every time I think I'm getting ahead, something else happens, and it's just been one of those weeks. Let's see. But we'll play some EU4 and see where we can get here. Oh, we're annexing somebody. Yeah, see, it's been a while, so I kind of forget even what I'm up to here. Do I have a truce with Novgorod? Nope, which means it is time. Oh, no, I guess I do. It doesn't. Oh, yeah, there we are. I need to take them over soon. Monday, I was at school. It was during my fourth period, and I got a text message and found out that a friend of mine had passed away that morning. Rather, I guess I'll send them here. Rather unexpectedly, he was 57. His name was Kirk Strange. For real. Like, I guess his name actually was Glenn, but he went by Kirk. But his last name was legitimately Strange. And yeah, he was a great dude. He's 57. Only 19 years older than me, which is horrifying in a couple ways. One, that means that in 19 years I'll be 57. But just really sad. He was a great guy. I mean, he died sitting on his porch smoking a cigar, which is exactly how he would have wanted to die. I think if you had given him the choice. But so young, and it's so sad. Like, just so he died on Monday, and just Sunday he was posting things about his son-in-law's football game and how proud he was, and all this stuff. And it's just sad. You just never know, right? And we take things for granted. We expect that people are always going to be around. We expect that we're always going to be around, and that's just not the way it is. And so I'm recording this on Friday. His funeral's tomorrow, and so I'm really thinking about my buddy. He's a good guy. The first time I met him, we were at a Civil War reenactment together. I had always wanted to be a reenactor, had never really done it before, and so I joined this company. And my first reenactment ever was the Battle of Resaca, which is this big battle in Georgia. It takes place every year, third weekend in May. Come see us. Third weekend of May every year at Resaca, which is, if you're from Georgia, it's near Dalton. If you're not from Georgia, that doesn't mean anything at all. You just know that it's up in the North Georgia mountains. And so I get there, and Kirk was not in my company. We were in the same battalion, but we were not in the same company. He had no obligation to know me or anything like that. It just so happened that our campsites were near each other, and so he hung out with us like the whole weekend. And I'm gonna keep him there for now. And of course, everybody around knew him. Everybody in my company and stuff, they all knew him, but I had never met him before. Very funny, very jovial. He was like, it's hard to describe, man. Just an absolute joy to be around. And I just remember him sitting there talking, telling stories. He always had a story. He was such a gifted storyteller. He, like me, was a history teacher, right? And that's kind of what history teachers do. We tell stories. That is our that's our calling in life. And Kirk was absolute wonderful, wonderful storyteller. His students are incredibly blessed to have him. And he just tells stories the whole night, and we get up the next morning, and of course, my unit were campaigners. So, soldiers on campaign during the Civil War, they didn't carry tents with them and stuff. If you go to a reenactment and you see tents everywhere, or you watch a movie and in the movie there are tents everywhere, that's not the way it was. Soldiers couldn't carry all that stuff with them, and they didn't all have their own personal wagon train. So, I spent the whole night sleeping on the ground with just a blanket and a bedroll. This is my first reenactment ever. I'm thinking, like, what am I doing? I could be at home in bed, like, what am I doing out here? This is miserable. Get up the next morning, I eat a little bit of hardtack and some bacon, and we do some drill, and we march around, and suddenly it's mid-afternoon, and we're going into battle, right? And the first time you stand in line and you fire a volley, there's nothing like it. You can feel the power go out away from you toward the enemy, and we're fighting, and we're going through this whole thing, and the battle comes to an end, and I had not been killed. The dirty little secret, everybody always wants to know, how do you know when you die? For the most part, with very few exceptions, it's personal choice. Of course, here I am talking about death, and my heir dies. Never take a stability hit if you don't have to. And so am I married? Yeah. We need to have a baby. Otherwise, we're going to end up in a personal union. Anyway, so we go out and we go through this whole battle, and it was so cool. Like, it was so cool. And the battle is over, and before we left the field, like, we're still in formation. I think I was mentioning how if you've been killed. With very few exceptions, it's personal choice. Sometimes at the huge events like the Battle of Gettysburg, they'll hand out cards, and like for Pickett's charge, they'll say, you're gonna die here and you're gonna die here, and stuff like that. But in general, it's just you just choose, like, I'm done, or oh good, we have a new heir. I'm out of ammunition, or I'm hot, I'm tired. I've fought enough. I'll die so some of the younger kids can keep fighting. Stuff like that. But it's all personal choice. But my first battle, you shouldn't die your first battle, right? You should see how it plays out. And so I'm there, and the battle comes to an end, and Kirk was an officer. He was a captain. So officers generally don't take hits because they have an actual real life job, which is to keep the men of the company safe. And so Kirk was there, and he comes running up to me, like right straight to me. And again, we were not in the same company. We were in the same battalion, but we weren't in the same company. And he comes running up to me, and he goes, well, just says, well, and Kirk, he was such a jolly guy. And I looked right at him, and I said, that was the coolest thing I've ever done. And he laughed, and he goes, we've got him, right? He knew that I was going to be sticking around, that I was going to be a part of the hobby. And the next thing I know, man, so there was one more day of that battle, and say goodbye to each other. And the next thing I know, I'm being invited to other reenactments and falling in with his company, and staying at his house. I slept on this futon in his house, which was it was the nicest futon. I can't imagine how much money, but it was his bed through college, I guess. And he had spent several $100s to get a really nice one. It's the only futon I've ever slept on that didn't sag in the middle. And I'm like staying at his house, and, hanging out with him, and gosh, what a wonderful guy, absolutely wonderful human being. And so, I'm a little melancholic, I have religious beliefs, and Kirk and I, our religious beliefs were not exactly the same, but they were close, and I trust that I trust that Kirk is okay. I trust that he's okay. And so I'm happy in that regard. I got to know him. I got to be a part of his life, and he was a part of mine. And I'm really happy for that. I'm sad that it's over. My heart breaks for his daughter. His daughter, she just got married like a year ago. His only child. And he had so much more time he could have lived. But those decisions aren't for us to make, right? That's for God. And so I'm sad. I'm sad that my friend is gone, but I'm really happy I got to know him. He's a good man. And that kind of set the tone for my week, and my week has it's been just a lot. But I got to spend some extra time with my kids. My daughter had a talent show, and so I got to go see that, and give me a little extra time with them and stuff. So it hasn't been entirely bad, but it has been busy. And so anyway, what are we at now? 10 minutes of explaining why. It's been a while since my last video, but here I am. Hopefully helping you relax. I know that was like a long, sad story, and I'm sorry if that brings you down, but please don't. Kirk would not want anybody to be sad. Kirk would want people to be happy that they got to know him. He would want us to feel it that way. So that first battle, so he comes running up to me right afterward, and he's all excited. And so we go back, and I'm riding an adrenaline high. Like I've been in a real battle. I've seen the elephant, and it was so much fun. And we go back to camp, and I'm up all night, right? I can't sleep, can't wait to get back at it the next day. And so the next day we go out to fight. And the thing about one of the really neat things I've learned through Civil War reenacting is that the actual engagements don't really happen the way you think they do. They're not just soldiers in lines, right? Because if you're acting like a real person in a real fight, they don't want to get killed. They were trained to stand in line and fire in volleys and stuff like that. But that wasn't how battles were fought. That's typically how the battles were opened. Battles were fought through the trees, and they're chaotic, and guys are running everywhere, and they're bushwhacking for the most of it. You're not carrying like automatic weapons, but you're still loading and firing and fighting through the trees and stuff like that. So we're running all over everywhere. The companies get all disorganized and everything. And I was with a guy named Kevin. And Kevin has become a dear, dear friend of mine. Also an absolutely wonderful human being. Kevin is, quite frankly, how I came to have my job. But things get mixed up, and Kirk is the nearest person to us and the nearest officer. So we just, hey, there's an officer, we're with him now. And we get their full annexation. And so we're fighting through these trees, and there was this group of sharpshooters in the trees, and we had clearly overrun their position. Like in real life, they would have retreated or been killed long before. But these guys are doing what reenactors sometimes have a tendency to do, and they're not playing along, and they just won't die. And so we just ignore them. We just decide, well, screw those guys. We're going to fight on. And so we push through the trees, and as we're pushing through the trees, we start to turn, like we left wheel, and one of the sharpshooter guys yells extreme elevation, so I don't know, I'll try to put it in context without you being able to see me, but we have a truce with the Horde. When reenactors are fighting, right, typically you aim straight at the enemy like you would in real life. But, cap and ball muskets, they produce a serious muzzle flame, and there's a blast that comes out of them. So as guys get closer together, we'll start to elevate our muskets. So we're shooting kind of over their heads because, it's a stage play. It's a theatrical performance. We don't really want to hurt each other. sort of like professional wrestling, you know. And so extreme elevation, though, is what you do, like if you're doing a memorial service and you raise the rifles way up in the air and fire them way up, you know, toward the heavens. And so the guy, he yells extreme elevation. Let's see here. And then he proceeds to point his rifle at maybe like 20-degree incline. Like it was not extreme elevation at all. And he fires and he shoots Kirk right in the side of the head. Just blam. It essentially blows Kirk's head off. Like his hat's knocked off. His world is rocked. And Kirk took like all of the blast. And so it was Kirk, Kevin, and then me. Kirk took like all of the blast. Kevin took most of the concussion, right? And then I was insulated. I got it kind of like it rung my bell, hurt my ears, but not like them, right? I got the least of it because of them. And I forever after that would joke that Kirk took a bullet to the head for me. He you know, it wasn't by choice, but he insulated me from that shot. And that was like, I mean, that just memories like that, just a lot of things like that with Kirk. So Toccoa, Georgia is where Kirk lived. It's where the funeral will be. It's about 3 hours from where I live. And every year in Toccoa, they do a big World War II reenactment. Toccoa, if you're not familiar with it, is where the 101st Airborne, specifically the 501st, the Band of Brothers, trained in Toccoa before they went to fight. And so the 101st, the Screaming Eagle patch that the 101st wears, did they join the war? Yeah. That actually dates, it traces its roots to the Civil War. The 8th Wisconsin Infantry carried a bald eagle with them. And in the various transitions after the after the Civil War, as the, these guys need to go this way. As the U.S. militia system turned into what we would know today as the National Guard, and different units were federalized and stuff, the group that eventually became the 101st Airborne traces in part its lineage to the 8th Wisconsin, and that's where the eagle on the patch comes from. So every year they have this big World War II reenactment up there, and Kirk organized this thing where we would go up, and they have a parade and a gunfight and stuff. And he organized this thing where we would go up and join in the parade and portray the 8th Wisconsin. And, it was so cool. The first time we did it, I was there the very first time the event was held, because Kirk invited me, which again, like I barely know this guy, and all of a sudden he's inviting me around to stuff. I don't know why he liked me, but he did. And I absolutely adored him. And so we go up to this event, and we're there as Civil War reenactors, and we're goofing off and we're teasing people. How can you wear green? How is the enemy supposed to see you in green? How can you tell your grandchildren that you stood bravely like a man when you were hiding in the bushes, right? We're just messing around with all these guys, and it was so much fun. And they were so cool. Most of those guys, there's not really a World War II. Where did I lose a fight? There's not really a World War II reenacting community in Georgia. Most of these guys were from the Carolinas, but they came down to do it, and they were so kind to us and so great. And Kirk noticed that, there were these guys setting up Nazi equipment and stuff, and they had tents and whatnot. And this was right around the time when the whole Confederate statue thing was starting, where people wanted to get statues removed and that sort of stuff. And in Civil War reenacting, everybody portrays both sides. It's just the way that it is. As on an individual level, I guess you don't have to, but you're only going to be going to, a a certain number of events. We get a schedule every year, and it says, this battle we're going to be Confederate, and that battle we're going to be Union, and whatever. And we all own gear for both sides. And so Kirk was just wondering, because sometimes we'll get flack for being Confederates and having like Confederate battle flags and stuff. And our responses, like if somebody's, you got to have both sides to tell the story, right? But that doesn't always sit well with people. But anyway, Kirk wanted to know like how these guys handle that and if they get any flack. So we walk over to this tent where there are these Nazi guys, and we met a few of them, and the guys who like portrayed the infantrymen, like Nazi infantry, those guys were decent. Like they were reasonable. Keep in mind, all of these guys are Americans. They're the kind of guys that you can absolutely see like, yeah, these guys are just, they're interested in the equipment. They're interested in the history. They don't mind portraying the bad guy, in order to preserve the history and that sort of stuff. But the guys that we walked over to initially, these guys were reenacting SS. And we go over and we start talking to them. And Kirk just asks this guy, like, hey, do you guys ever get any trouble for having like swastika flags and stuff? And the guy pulls open his shirt, and he's wearing like this his undershirt was a swastika. Like it was like red with the white circle and the black swastika. And on his collarbone, he's got like SS lightning bolt tattoos and stuff. And Kirk and I looked at each other, right? And there's this like clearly both of us realizing at once, like, these guys are for real. Like this guy is a for real skinhead who like thinks that this stuff is okay, right? He's not like the infantry guys who just like the equipment and are interested in the history. Like this guy is for real. And we immediately, both of us, like, we said some things, like, hey, thanks for talking to us. Nice to meet you guys. See you at the gunfight tomorrow. And we like ran away immediately. Like that dude was scary. We wanted nothing to do with him anymore. I can't annex Crimea. Shoot, that was part of, I wanted to be able to take some of this. I guess I have to destroy the Great Horde first, but here, we'll just but yeah, like that was those kind of experiences with Kirk, and that reenactment was nuts. Like I can't imagine. We've been several times now, and the amount of things, guys, like MG42s, STG44s, like real stuff, Jeeps, tanks. I mean, I've got a couple M1 Garands, and those are hard enough to get your hands on. I mean, these guys had stuff that I don't know where they find all this stuff, and like real stuff, FG42s. If you know anything about World War II military equipment, like Thompson submachine guns, Browning automatic rifles, 30 caliber machine guns, 50 caliber machine guns. Like it was nuts, the amount of stuff they had. And overall, they were really great to us. In my experience, the guys who portray Americans are great. They're great. They were so welcoming. They brought us into their tents, let us hang out with them. Showed us how they do things. They were great. The guys who portrayed German infantry, like just regular German soldiers, those guys were great too. The guys who portray the SS, I want nothing to do with those guys. Those guys were scary. I joke a lot that I'm Acadian, so like from the Nazi perspective, I'm white, but I'm not the right kind of white. But for the most part, it's a joke that I make sometimes. But that was like one of the first times where I really felt like I'm not the right kind of white for these guys. Like I'm gonna just not say anything, and I'm gonna walk away from here. I want nothing to do with this. But that was the kind of stuff that me and Kirk would end up into. It was always an adventure with him. And I loved that guy. What a wonderful, wonderful human being. Absolute joy to be around. Loved life and lived life the way he wanted to. And I think that if Kirk could have had more time, I think he would have taken it. But I think that if he wasn't given a choice, right? If if he had to go and there just was no choice, I think the way Kirk went and the life that he lived, I think he would be happy with. Um, Absolute joy of a human being. He really, really was. Um, but we're gonna go up. Me and another dear friend of mine who knew Kirk as well. He's gonna come to my house tomorrow, and we're gonna ride up together. So sad road trip, but a nice one. And then tomorrow night we've got the homecoming dance. So I keep referencing tomorrow. This assuming I'm recording this on Friday, November 14th, 2025. So if you're watching this at any other point, then obviously that has long passed. But I'm just kind of rambling here about my life right now. But so me and Ross, we're gonna ride up together. Hopefully we'll see some other guys there, and we'll say goodbye to Kirk, and then anyway, so then we'll come back. It'll be a long day, long drive, but we'll come back, and then we have homecoming tomorrow night. I'm chaperoning homecoming, which chaperoning is one of those things that teachers hate to do, but love doing. It's because of course I had all those memories. I did all those things when I was a kid, and all these kids that I know and that I spend all of my time with, I get to watch them have these experiences. And I'm going to wait and see if I get to watch them have these experiences, and I get to be there and be a part of it. The great thing about being the kind of school that my school is that it's a very new school. And so, I'm gonna take the opportunity to take these guys. And so I've been able to be, I was the first upper school history teacher hired there. And so I've been able to be a part of so many firsts in the school. And, this is not the first homecoming, but I was at the first homecoming, and this is now the second homecoming that we've had. And I've already volunteered to chaperone the first prom. And so even though chaperoning, I'm going to be there until 10:30, and then I'm going to be up Sunday morning, to go to church, right? And this is not going to be a weekend at all. But it's worth it, for me to be a part of this with the kids. And sorry, I get distracted there, but so I'm excited about the weekend, even though there's going to be this somberness. I'm excited to spend the day with my friend and to go up and honor this mutual friend that we both absolutely adored. Why are they? Did Uzbek drop out? I don't think they can. No, they're at Worley. To go up and honor our friend, and I don't understand why these guys are getting what's happening is they're getting the exiled thing, that little black square that means basically they're not functioning as soldiers. So yeah, it'll be nice to spend the day with my friend and to go up and honor our friend, and it'd be nice to have some company on the trip, so I'm not just driving 3 hours by myself. I'm a very introverted guy. I'm very much a loner, but for stuff like that, it's nice to have somebody along, So yeah, it'll be a good weekend, even though it'll be a somber weekend and it'll be a tiring weekend. But then next week, we have school, and then after that, we have Thanksgiving break. So, you know, I will get to rest. I will get to rest. It's just it's gonna be a little while, and it's worth it for Kirk. Let's see, I'm in two wars right now. I'm trying to gobble up as much of this territory as I can. I don't really care. So the Urals are right here. I don't really care to spread east of the Urals. That's not part of my goal, but I do want to knock these guys down. And really, I want to get rid of the Horde here so that I can start taking Crimea. I can shove Genoa out of here. And eventually, I want to get some border territory with the Ottomans. And once, when you start the game, the Ottomans are by far the most powerful nation. But as time goes on, you can overtake that power. You can weaken them if you're strategic about it. And I want to be ready in a moment of weakness to hurt the Ottomans. The Ottomans really are the biggest challenge. You know, Lithuania, Poland, they're strong. The Sweden, Denmark, Norway triumvirate here is strong. But really, you know, a lot of this is not as bad as it seems, especially by the time we're the Russian Empire. The Ottomans really are the biggest issue that I have to face here for now. And we're going to lose that fight. Whoops. Right, let's see if... Did they stack wipe my whole army? Oh, I guess they did. Well, shoot. Guess these guys need to head back this way to do some fighting. Here, we'll have them suppress this revolt on the way. If they can. Jeez. Man. Keep losing up here. Might have bit off more than I can chew here. Let's see if I can get Uzbek to drop out. No. Still, wow, it's taking me a while to annex Perm. I guess I keep pausing because I'm in a war, so I'm constantly trying to respond to stuff. Hopefully, I don't like the fact that the Ottomans are there. Hopefully they don't jump on me here. Let's see, we need to... So I need to drive Uzbek out of the war. And to do that, I need to defeat them, I think, in battle, which I haven't done yet. Every battle we've fought, they've beaten me. So, I mean, they might drop out now. Yeah, see, I think I want to be able to take some of that territory. Not for any real reason. It's really not very useful to me, but mostly just because I like nice, clean border lines. Yeah, see, there's the Uzbek army. So. So as soon as these get to 100%, I'm going to let him take those. There we go. Now we're going to drive back this way and try to crush his army. Alright, so we have annexed Perm successfully. There we go. Alright, let's see if we can get Uzbek to give up some of this territory. I'll go there. There we go. That's Nogai. So we're going to eventually have to go to war with Nogai again to take that, but it'll be a while. There we can make them a vassal. Just gives us a little extra power projection. They're going to have a high liberty desire, but that's okay. We're just going to improve some relations there. Once we can. I guess we have to wait a little bit. Now we'll go to this Great Horde here. Let's see what we can want to take as much of this as we can. We want to really just get rid of the Great Horde. There we go. We can completely annex them. There is no more Great Horde. The Horde has ended. And we are now in a time of peace. So we're going to start improving relations there. I'm going to try to core all of these. We're going to core these states. That one state, I guess. We're going to mothball our forts. We don't need to pay for them. And we're now going to let ourselves recover. Now, we're making quite a bit of money even though we have mercenaries hired. So there's no reason to get rid of the mercenaries for now. We do ultimately want to transition as much as possible. Oh, they can't get back. Oops. Are they mercenaries? No. We do ultimately want to transition as much as possible to professional soldiers. The reason being that as Russians, we can create, quite frankly, better soldiers than what most of the mercenary companies will be. And when you hire mercenaries, you're stuck with whatever composition that mercenary company has. So when we build our own, we can control the amount of riflemen, the amount of cavalry, the amount of artillery, stuff like that is in the company. Whereas when you're hiring mercenaries, you can't. Mercenaries, you're basically just getting bodies. You're getting people who are there, who know how to fight. I don't care about the guy. I don't care about their opinion of me. And that's what you're doing. So, what's my crown land at? I'm all right. Yeah. Anyway, so we do want to make our own armies, but for now, while we have these mercenaries and we're making money with them, that's okay. So it's okay to have these mercenaries to keep our power projection, our force projection out there. We're going to let our manpower recover, and as it recovers, we'll start building. Out better permanent force. Are they mine? Or is there a tributary state? Did I make that happen, or did that happen like somehow accidentally? Oh well. Well, I will see if I can vassalize them at some point. It seems like they're not particularly enthusiastic about the idea of being vassalized, but I mean it's pretty great. Pretty great being my vassal. Right? I've got a lot to offer. Truce with them until 1479. Venetia here is one that I want to get. And I want to annex these two guys as well. Then I'll control all of this, and it'll make it a lot easier for me when I get to the point where I'm ready to form the Russian Empire. What do I need? See, I need administrative tech 55. What am I at? I'm at 49. Yeah, so it's going to be a little while before I can form the Russian Empire, but I'm going to. It won't be this video, I can tell you that. But we're going to get there. Can I find a place to put these guys that they're not losing to attrition? There we go. Oh, no, that's not mine. There we go. There's a spot. I'm doing it like, so my goal here is to do the third Rome thing and turn this into a theocracy. So I'm doing all of the decisions that favor the church because it's giving me more patriarch authority, and it's just making the church stronger for when we get to that point. So bypass. Their independence is now less, their independence desire is less than 50%. So I don't need to worry about them right now. Start influencing them. Draw them more toward my worldview. I'll give up a little territory to make them happy. All right, so when it comes to ideas, you have so many choices and there's so much you can do here. And the truth is, all of them have benefits and none of them really come with substantial downsides. The only problem is to advance in ideas, you have to spend like the stuff up here. Like ultimately, I want to go with religious ideas, right? I want to, because those are going to really help me with the third Rome thing, but I don't want to spend all that administrative power because I want to use it for coring territories. Plus, I want to use it for advancing my administrative tech to get me to 55. So I really like one thing. If you've noticed as a player, I'm very expansive. I'm a blob player. So these espionage ideas are great, particularly this one right here, state propaganda. But they all, and vassalization, acceptance, and stuff like that, they make it a lot easier to take over stuff. So I'm going to do espionage. Let's see, where is expansion ideas? That's also one that helps you take stuff over, but it's really more about colonies and not about expanding here. Infrastructure helps you govern, but I'm going to start with expansion. That's going to use diplomatic stuff, not administrative. So I won't be losing all of that admin power that I want to use for other things. When does that truce extend? 1482. So get a little while before I can attack them again. Just kind of clean up this area here. Take like the Caspian coast. I guess that's where I'm going to draw my border, I think, is down through the Urals, kind of to the Caspian, and then west of there. Trying to get this over 90. The moment this is over 90, I can offer them vassalization. There we go. And then I own them. Then it's just a matter of waiting 10 years to annex them. Yeah, you got to keep it over 90, but as long as you do that. There we go. So they're my vassal now. Now I can take this guy back. I don't need to maintain them at 190, just after 10 years. So in 1484, I get them back over 190, and then I can just annex them. So I want to focus on, suppress this. I want to focus on, whoops, no. I want to focus on annexing these two down here, which is going to require relations improvement. annexed. Then we'll get these other guys annexed. And that's going to give me central Muscovy here. I'll have basically everything that I started with, all the vassals and stuff, will be annexed. These guys I need to figure out what to do with. And then I can take, Nogai, at least, from here over Ajam down to the Persian Gulf. And I'll probably draw the line kind of there to the Persian Gulf, and then start spreading westward. Go west, young man. Haven't you been told? California's full of whiskey, women, and gold. Never been to California, but I do like whiskey, I like women, and I like gold, so I guess it must be a pretty good place. Let's see here. Where can I move these guys? I need to try to find places there where they can sit without attrition so that my manpower can build back up here. Are these guys Orthodox? No, they're Muslim. Georgia's Orthodox. They're allied with me, so I need to see if I can vassalize them soon too. Once we, see, I could start doing it now, but it would be difficult. But once, like my next big thing, I guess, after I get these guys annexed, is I'll do the next thing here is window on the west. So I'll probably try to take over this region. It looks like it's mostly owned by Poland. That's going to be a fight. Oh, they're allied with France and Brandenburg. Yeah, that's a fight I'm going to have to get ready for. Maybe I can try taking Sweden first. I don't have a casus belli here, but I can fabricate one. That would be a lot easier. Once I start getting significant western coastline, then I'm going to start building a navy. Right now, I'm not focusing on naval stuff at all because I've got a little coastline here. I've got some stuff up here, but nothing really significant. And I want some real coastal territories before I start worrying about that stuff. Historically, Russia has never been a significant naval power. And because, Russia, for most of its history, hasn't had significant, water access. It has, of course, the Black Sea, and it has, access up here to, the Arctic Sea. And, of course, over on the west, the east, it has Pacific coast access, but those areas are historically incredibly underdeveloped. Even the places like Vladivostok are, they're that's a city, but it's a city surrounded by very undeveloped land. So they've just never been a significant naval power. My Russia will be, but not for a little while. See, I have so much gold, it's ridiculous. So we're starting to get to where we have like some significant manpower now. So here in a bit, once I get some of these other things done, I'm gonna try to start transitioning away from that's in 1479, away from mercenaries and back towards I might have to look up how, if there's a way, like, because the negative is 1,000, which is going to be like impossible to overcome. To find out if there's a way that I can ally a tributary, or maybe, I mean, canceling the tributary status is probably the best thing. And then I can just attack them once the truce runs out. Yeah. Once the truce runs out, that'll be the best thing. And I can just attack them. Alliance offer from Serbia. So they're Orthodox. There's a chance we could vassalize them. Yeah. I'll do it. Lithuania, yes, they're a junior partner of Poland. That's what makes fighting Poland such a difficult thing, is that Polish Commonwealth. But we'll be able to do it. It's just going to be a matter of building up the army and really preparing for it beforehand. Who has a high... Yeah, those guys. That's okay. Annex them. That truce expires in 1482. Alright, so we've had a ruler transition, so we're now playing as Vasily. He's pretty young. He has no heir. He also has no wife, so we need to find somebody to marry. And if we can marry into like a powerful family, that would be really great. Maybe get like a personal union with somebody. But we want to make sure it's somebody like way over here, if they will. A lot of them won't because we're Orthodox. But if we can marry into some powerful group, we can potentially. I guess nobody's gonna. They would, but they can't. Here, let's see if we can. We can potentially end up with like a personal union. Like if we could get a personal union with Hungary. Well, no. I don't know how it works. Like when you do these marriages, there's a chance that the person will become your royal consort, and then like basically they're your wife. But they don't always. And like as you can see here, you know, like I've done a couple royal marriages, and none of those people became my wife. And so like you have to find somebody to become your royal consort, but like it's not guaranteed. These guys will marry me. Well, that sucks. Hungary wants an alliance. That's a good alliance. That's an alliance we can maybe call on. Well, I need to marry somebody. I don't want to marry them because I'm about to declare war on them. And Theodoro, though I would really like it if they became a vassal. Oh, see, still didn't become my wife. One thing I haven't been doing that I absolutely should be, this is completely my fault, I totally forgot, is drilling my armies. Drilling is how your armies train. You can't drill mercenaries. They kind of do their own thing. But you can drill your own armies, and you should always be drilling them. And I have completely spaced on doing that here. But they need to be drilling. Like the biggest problem with drilling is like your leaders can die in accidents, which I think in EU4 the chances are way too high. Like people don't just like die in drills, right? It can happen, sure, but the fact that your generals can just like die in a drill, and it happens so frequently. I don't know. I think it's too much in EU4. So Crimea is at war with the Ottomans. They're going to lose that bad. All right, so our royal marriage with Serbia ended. There. Okay. So we now have a royal marriage with Serbia, and they have no legal heir. So if he dies, there's a good chance that we can take Serbia. So oops. Usually it gives you a thing where it's like on monarch death. There we go. Yeah, so we would take Serbia. Not a big get, but that's the importance of marriages in this game. I need to be careful. I've got too many diplomatic relations, and it's costing me diplomatic power, which can make the process of integration slower. But we've integrated those guys, so we have completed this mission. Join all those guys together. Will Georgia accept vacillation? Nope. All right. They're losing bad to the Ottomans. When did this truce end? Okay, one more year, and then I can jump on Alania. I wonder what my combat width is. Is it still the same? 22. Okay. So what that means is that I can up all of these guys. Wait, those might be mercenary. No, they're not. Those are mercenaries. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Yeah, just keep it quiet. Stop drilling. almost there. A couple more months, and we can declare war. On Alanya. Alright. Oh. I guess we have to make it casus belli because, yeah, I don't want to take the stability hit. So we're going to build a spy network real quick. Once that's done, we can fabricate a claim on the whole area, and then we'll take them. And okay, Theodoro, so we can potentially take Theodoro as well. Choose when the guy has ended, Uzbek has ended. Wallachia, we might be able to vassalize. They're going to bring Moldavia into the war. But that's all right. And what is happening to Poland over here? Poland is looking a little weird. Alright, we got separatists there. Alright, now we can fabricate a claim on the entire area. Slovakia is not going to come into the war, but I guess Georgia is. Okay, well, that'll allow us to take Georgia in its entirety then. At least probably. We might not be able to take Georgia because we don't share a border with Georgia, which would make it impossible for us to core, but we might be able to vassalize Georgia, which will allow me to take it later. Let's see. Now it's just a matter, we've crushed them militarily. Now it's just a matter of sieging down these forts and taking what we can from them. We have an error. Good. Yes. Always lessen the aggressive expansion impact. Alright, so we've sieged Theodoro successfully. Wait till we get just a little bit more war score and then see if I can start negotiating with some of these guys. Gain some corruption. So corruption is one thing you really want to pay attention to in this game. You want to make sure, like what I always do is this, like whenever I know I have a little bit of corruption, I don't see where it says, but I'll put this just to 100% just to like get rid of it, like root it out now, get rid of it as quickly as possible. Even if it costs money. So they're looking for peace now, but I'm gonna ignore this piece because what I want to do is get a higher war score, and then I can see if I can vassalize them. I said no, Theodoro. No. So we've taken Tbilisi. So, alright. I'm going to see. Theodoro. Yeah, it's not going to let me take it because I can't make it a core because it's not close to me. But what I can do is make them a vassal. Yeah, they're going to have a high liberty desire, but that's okay. We're going to send somebody here to, well, when we have time, we're going to send somebody there to improve relations. I guess will you let me through? There. What I'm going to try to do now, I think I might try to see if I can make Georgia a vassal. And if I can make Georgia a vassal and annex all of Alanya, that would be pretty great. We can't replace him. So the leader of that army died, and we can't replace him because he's in enemy territory until we capture this area. There, so we've captured that. So let's see. First off, let's do some of this. That's convenient. Less than that aggressive expansion impact right before I aggressively expand. If I take this, will it? Yeah, see, that's not. Let's see. No, they won't become my vassal. Okay. So. Yeah, we'll take Tbilisi from them. That'll be a good expansion. There. Core all of those. Alright, so yet again, we have been now almost an hour and a half, which is kind of long for me. My videos are typically closer to an hour, but that's all right. Spend a lot of time talking about my buddy. That's why. Move these guys here. So for now, I'm going to stop the video. I think next time I'm going to look to end Nagai, and I'm just going to start improving relations here right now so I don't forget. Try to get our relations up there so we can annex them. So you can see we have radically expanded from where we were. And now if I can crush Nagai and I can keep moving down here little by little, it'll be time to start pushing westward. If we can push into, say, Lithuania, right? That's going to be a tough fight, right? But England won't come in. Brandenburg won't come in. France will. It's going to be a tough fight, but we could potentially do it. We're going to want to check some technologies and stuff. We're going to want to build up some forces beforehand. It might be better to start up here, but we're going to slowly start working our way westward and see how far we can go. But for now, I think I'm going to call it a night here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have. There we go. Enjoyed this, and I will see you when I see you.